basically we are doing today the Incredible Hulk. And the Hulk has had two movies. This one and the Ang Lee's version of the Hulk. As a fan of the Hulk, I haven't read too many Hulk stories, but I do like the Hulk. I have to kind of admit, I do like the Ang Lee version. I think the Ang Lee's version was a lot more focused on the psychological aspects of Bruce Banner. And that's the aspect of the Hulk that I like. And when you take when you take away the psychological aspects of the Hulk, you kind of are left with a raging force of nature that isn't too compelling, in my opinion. The film is, but this film is more of a superhero film than Ang Lee's version of that, and for that reason alone, I do like this version. And it focuses on a scientist who's desperately trying to kill himself from the monster within. And the interesting thing about this film is originally it was going to be a sequel to the Ang Lee version of the film. But since then, the movie has gone on its own, sort of becoming its own thing and not being included within the Ang Lee version. And I think that's for the best. And as much as I love the Ang Lee's version, it doesn't fit with the Marvel Studios, and it doesn't fit with the Incredible Hulk character. Another interesting thing about this movie is that it's not an origin movie. This is one of the first Marvel Studios films to not have an origin for one of their characters. What I really liked about this film is the origin is established within the opening credits, and all it does is establish this is the Hulk, this is who he is, and now let's get on with the rest of the movie. And I really like that approach. And I think, and Marvel Studios has toyed around with the idea of not doing origin movies for Phase 3. I think with the characters that they've selected, you have to do origin movies for those characters. But maybe when it comes to doing established characters, like a certain Spider-Man character, and personally, this is what I think Spider-Man should do when they do that movie. When Marvel Studios and Sony do that movie, is they should basically do what they did with Incredible Hulk, because it really, really does work, and I will get to that bit in a minute. So, the Incredible Hulk came out the same year as Iron Man and Dark Knight. The movie did do a bit better than the Ang Lee's version, but didn't even approach the numbers that the Dark Knight and the Iron Man made. The first reason is because I don't think many people want to see the Hulk. I think people just don't get what the Hulk is supposed to be. And as I mentioned earlier on in this review, the Hulk is a creature who, when you take away the psychological aspects of the film, all he is just a raging monster. there's nothing too compelling about a character who, smashes lots of things about and has basically tantrums that can level a city. And another reason why this movie probably wasn't as successful as it could have been is because of how this movie was marketed. I don't even recall how I watched this movie when I went to see it in the cinemas. I think I had read it somewhere or saw it in the screen and said, oh, that looks interesting. I didn't know too much about the Incredible Hulk going into it when I first watched it. And this movie, and I think had Marvel Studios had known how successful Iron Man was going to be, I do genuinely believe that Incredible Hulk would have come out a year later and would have been marketed properly. I think they just didn't know how Iron Man was going to play out. But, and the thing about this movie is it's the most far removed from the Marvel Studios as it's possible to be. And basically what I mean by that is there aren't many references to other characters. And yes, you can argue Iron Man had the same exact thing, but the thing is with the Iron Man movie is it was the jumping board that started all of this. Incredible Hulk was the second movie within this universe, and not a lot connected with the Iron Man film or the other films. And it was only later did things start connecting. Like, the only film apart from Iron Man which this movie really connects to is the Captain America First Avenger film. So again, had they known that this film was going to be successful, I think they would have done more marketing for the movie. So, the story of the Hulk borrows a lot of elements from Ultimate Hulk comics. Basically, the idea of the Hulk in the Ultimate comic, from what I understand, sort of helped S.H.I.E.L.D. develop the supersoldier serum thing, which basically led to Banner becoming the Hulk. And the same sort of happens in this story. Banner worked for General Roth, tests supersoldier serum and the Hulk serum on himself, which basically led to the creation of Hulk. We see during the opening credits the accident which turned Bruce into the Hulk. And what I really, really like about this opening credit scene is it leaves us with a very, very good flavour for what's to come. We don't have the background information right away. The background information is told to us later. But all the opening credits does is it basically establishes what led Banner to being forced to escape. Being forced to be on the run. We get that right away. But all we really know about the accident which created the Hulk is that it was basically a freak of nature. It was basically an accident which wouldn't ordinarily happen, and it led to the Hulk being created. The Hulk is very much a force of nature, and it's basically, there's something within Banner himself, that when the super soldier serum, that basically when the super soldier serum is in him, he basically morphs into this monster. And the movie also has this very, very interesting gimmick, that systematically throughout the film, we will get the number of days that Banner has not been the Hulk. Banner starts out in this movie trying to control the Hulk, trying to, taking odd jobs to support himself, taking meditation classes to control his anger, basically taking a very scientific approach to controlling the Hulk, which is really, really interesting. Banner also takes complete responsibility of the Hulk, and actively is trying to cure himself of Hulk. And we see through his interactions with this character called Mr. Red, or is it Mr. Blue? I think it's Mr. Blue, to be fair. But basically, Mr. Blue is Samuel Stearns. And through their interaction, we get to see the scientific aspects to Bruce Banner. General Roth goes after Bruce Banner after a lead, aka Stanley getting turned into a Hulk monster, basically leads General Ross into tracking down the Hulk. And we also have Emil Blonsky joining Thunderbolt, joining the Hulkbuster team. And Banner is then forced back on the run, which leads him back home to retrieve data that created the Hulk. And we also have Emil Blonsky getting turned into a super soldier, and then later the Abomination. This movie is fundamentally about control, and the desire for control. For Bruce Banner, he desires control over himself. He desires his own body, and he wants to control the Hulk, the force within himself, who cannot be controlled. There's something about Banner that there's something inside himself. And as we know from Captain America First Adventure, the super soldier basically amplifies whatever's within that person. Like, Red Skull was inherently evil and therefore turned into a monster. Steve Rogers was inherently a good person and therefore took on angelic-like appearances. But Hulk is neither a monster nor an angel. He's right in the center. The Hulk is a symbol of that middle ground and is a force of nature. And forces of nature cannot be controlled. And Banner is really a victim of other people's control over himself, and the Hulk controlling him and General Ross controlling him. Everyone is trying to control Banner, and he's really a victim of that. Blonsky is a man who very much embraces his nature. And one of Blonsky's goals is to return back to his youth, and become the ultimate fighter. And Blonsky views the Hulk as a worthy adversary. And the reason why he enlists himself into into General Ross's super soldier program is so he can get that again. Is so he can get back his youth. And as the movie progresses, Blonsky's desire for power basically leads to him transforming his body into the abomination. General Ross, who is obviously the reason why Banner became the Hulk, and basically his sole obsession is Banner, and getting the power which Banner holds, getting the power of the Hulk. His obsession with getting this power of the Hulk outweighs his relationship with his own daughter, which we see in this movie. Interesting about this movie is nothing's really like, the background that Ross has isn't really established. We don't know the reasons why he's doing this. And we don't know what his plans are. Which leaves the audience very much in the dark in terms of Ross. And it's a shame we're not getting a sequel to this movie, because it would have really been interesting to find out the reasons why why Ross did the things that he did. Samuel Stearns is another character who desires control. Samuel Stearns basically wants to use the Hulk's blood to basically create countless cures for diseases and various ailments. It's revealed that basically Samuel Stearns have been replicating the Hulk's blood to do this. And whilst his actions is noble, Samuel Stearns does not realise the full magnitude of the Hulk and what the government's desire for the Hulk are. So with all the men that I have mentioned, the person who learns something and progresses is Banner. Banner basically learns from his mistakes, and that's shown in the final battle between the Hulk and Abomination, is that Banner learns that he can't control the Hulk. That the Hulk is basically an uncontrollable force of nature. And the best thing he can do is basically direct the Hulk and hope that nothing bad happens as a result. And Banner really takes a problem and makes it into a solution. And that's very much ties in with this whole scientific approach that Banner has in regards to the Hulk. The only character that you may have noticed that I haven't mentioned is Betty Ross. And that's mainly because she's such a forgettable character. Whilst Liv Tyler does a very good job as Betty Ross, and her chemistry with Edward Norton is done very well, there's just nothing about Betty Ross, this version of Betty Ross, that is compelling. Unlike characters like Pepper Potts and Peggy Carter, who yes are love interests, but they play a big role in the movies that they're in. They don't just play the love interest role, and all we see in this film is Betty Ross taking on that role. And it's especially bad in this film as she does have a boyfriend. It's all sort of thrown out the window in this movie. And there's just nothing compelling about the Betty Ross character. So, Incredible Hulk's role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the movie is very, very self-contained, like Iron Man. And whilst it does have references to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Tony Stark, as I've mentioned, this movie is the most far away from the other movies as it's possible to be. And one of the biggest questions I have in regards to this movie is why Ross was using the supersoldier serum in the first place, and why it was put on ice. And I do kind of wonder how much this relates to the Hydra element. Was Hydra trying to create their own super soldiers? We know that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they do create the Centipede program, but we don't know if Hydra had attempted to create super soldiers, or whether this is just a government thing. We do know that the super soldier program is within a series of programs called Weapon Plus. And for those of you who don't know what the Weapon Plus program is, basically, in Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men, it was revealed that the super soldier program that created Captain America and the Weapon X project that created Wolverine are part of the same branch of... are basically part of the same branch, called Weapon Plus. This is interesting because I kind of theorized that maybe there were more projects that came out of the Super Soldier program. And is it possible that even one of them might have created another Captain America? Because there is a story that basically sees all of the Captain Americas from different time periods, other than the Steve Rogers one. But we can't know for sure whether there are more projects than just the Captain America project. We can't know if there were more projects like the Super Soldier project. Was there something very similar to Weapon X project in the Marvel Studios? We don't know anything for sure. And we don't know just how interconnected the Hydra elements were to the Super Soldier program. And we do know that this film, Stark Industries basically supplied weapons to General Ross. And we do know that Tony Stark seems to know General Ross well. We also have a reference to Nick Fury as well, who was involved with the hunt for Bruce Banner. So there's definitely some very interesting background stuff in this story. Tony Stark also appears as the consultant that tried to get the Abomination out of the Avengers initiative, which is sort of explored a lot more in the consultant one-shot. There was a deleted cutscene, and I don't know why the scene was cut, but it was cut. Basically, there was a scene that basically established the fact that the Incredible Hulk, that Bruce Banner attempted to kill himself, and basically this led to the Incredible Hulk emerging, which basically led to Captain America being found in the ice caps, because Hulk basically had a Hulk smash in the Arctic. I've got no idea why this was cut. this scene would have definitely helped this movie connect more with the Marvel Studios films. And I think the scene itself was a really, really good scene, and you still could have had the opening credit scenes. So yeah, but the scene itself is still considered canon. So yeah, this review. I hope you have enjoyed this review, and I shall see you all very soon for the next one.